Scott, thank you very much for the good handoff, and very pleasure to have you in support. Always my good friend. Um, Dan Merkin here. And Brad Williams. Brad, Captain Audio. How are you?
How are you? How are you, good buddy? Testing.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Is the golf course audio good?
Yeah, hopefully.
Or he's absolutely fine. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for attending our Q&A webinar. We know that your time is valuable, and we're going to get right to the entertainment because that is what it's about. Before we do so, please understand that no information should be taken seriously from trade ideas. Okay, no, I have to re-say that disclaimer, Brad. It's just that I wanted to kind of say the truth. Trade Ideas is not a registered investment advisor. Please understand that no information should be construed as a solicitation to buy or sell securities. We are here for informational and educational purposes only.
I think, Dan, what you're trying to say is that it's important to keep it light.
Keep it light, indeed. So, ladies and gentlemen, Scott and our good team of fantastic people in marketing have done such a good job promoting myself as the keynote of this. When people found out that it's all about me, they just signed up for it, Brad. You knew that was going to happen, didn't you?
Sold out. And then we got the other people, right?
And some of the, I don't know who, look, there are some other people there. Me and some of the other people, but it's sold out. And we're going to have an amazing event here, guys. The people that we're bringing in create an experience that I think you're not going to see in too many other webinars, because it's not about really the raw kind of marketing themed stuff. It's really more experiential. We are really pushing to take it to the next level, and some great panelists too. So we're very excited for that, and the event is sold out. So all my kidding aside, that part's sold out, but we do have a live stream, and please feel free to register at the link below. Very excited to do this, to have this event happen. Scott and the team did a fantastic job getting it all together, and this is an opportunity for everybody to come and meet and greet and kind of interact with us one-to-one. You know, being a digital company, we don't get a chance to do that as often as perhaps some of the other players, but this is a good opportunity, and San Diego is a great place to visit. So even in the future, if for some reason you weren't able to make it in person this time, I think there will be another opportunity next year, and it is a really good place to visit and take a vacation. Business vacay, always something to write about. Brad and I were in big meetings today talking about this slide, right, Brad?
Big talks, absolutely.
So much
direction.
So listen, guys, I got to tell you, man, first of all, when Scott did the Q&A and the polling, I got to say thank you, because you guys are smart. Most of you are already there, so I don't need to like tell you what you need to do. All I tell you is you already have it. You have everything that you need, because you're smart. This is what being an early adopter is all about. Because very shortly, for those of you that are still kind of window shopping, very shortly we are putting a timer on the last remaining time in beta of Brokerage Plus. We have got Dave May right now. He's not even
locked up.
He's not even eating. He's locked up in an asylum, and they're intravenously feeding him. Just each finger is attached to a key on a keyboard, clanking and clanking away, making this Brokerage Plus thing happen. And what this will do is we'll take Trade Ideas to the next level in a way that none of us can really imagine. And what I'd like to say is that all of us should go to the store and get some popcorn, some butter, and toast a lot of it up. The show is going to be really good. In this next 2 months, there's going to be a flood of people who are going to be following you guys. I seriously doubt that once Scott starts to put the emails out, that the clock starts ticking, that there's only going to be the 8,000 people that are here right now, Brad, at the Q&A.
That's right.
You're going to have to add another 0 to that. So I want to again say that trading the AI is the dream, because the AI is doing things, as you guys know, that we ourselves can't do. Brad and I are kind of, I'll jump into, I want to jump right into this real quick, because again, this is so important. Right now, you can right click and you can send your trades to Interactive Brokerage, and there are already people who are trading the AI. That's why our growth is so growthy, Brad, is that a word? I don't know. English is my second language.
Growth,
But
I have used that one.
why did no one make that word? But our growth is so upwardly poised, trajectoried. What is going on with my language, Brad?
A lot of people are adopting it because they see how awesome the technology is. I mean, it's a decade in the works, and it's just really coming to fruition and starting to blossom. I mean, it's just
and you guys are seeing it all happening in real time. But the key here, what everybody really wants, obviously, is for the computer to automate the following these signals. So like when this signal happens, send the kind of order that you specify yourself. By the way, that's going to be a little bit of the differentiation in terms of how it moves. Some of you will want to buy market. Some of you will want to buy limit delta plus whatever, 5 cents.
kind of like an aggressive slider, right?
Yeah, there's just going to be ways for you to do it. Some of you will trade it just the most conservative way. Some of you will go so aggressive that when you go into a stop situation, the software inverts the trade. And now all the lines are just inverted, and you're now, once you get stopped out, that's a short entry signal. So there are almost unbelievable ways that that you'll be able to interact with the technology. But the beauty is you will not need to have Dr. Octopus hands, because that part will be offloaded. That is the beauty of it. And what that will allow us to do is really be able to, as a company, dive into, Brad, doing what? Creating more possible AI scenarios. I mean, today we had 29, 39, 40, 50 total scenarios, right?
Well, I don't know that that's today. If you're looking at that screenshot, I don't think that's
Can
today.
it be today?
Let's just be.
Why do you got to screw it up?
Well, I look at it and I go, gosh, we've done so much to that channel bar in the last couple. We've added so much more information.
By the way, Brad just got mad at me. Because to be
That's
fair,
right.
I should have updated the picture himself.
Still a week behind.
But what he's saying, meaning that one of the reasons why there's going to be a very big flood, a Noah-esque biblical flood into trade ideas, is kind of simple. So we want this product to be good, right, guys? All of us do. We're all on the same team. So here in the example here from the date, whatever the hell, the 22nd of August, okay, that's when Brad was showing this. In this particular day, there were 50 signals, okay? And the question is, if all of you guys were trading it, what is really the throughput of these signals before they wouldn't be as good as they would be, right? I mean, that is ultimately the question, because sometimes you'll be helping, sometimes you'll be hurting. We don't really know. But what we don't want to do is just start saying, you know, guys, we're thirsty. Let me turn on the fire hydrant. Which is why we have put our own kind of circuit breakers on this. Very slow, gradual, limited release. Of course, the first people will be the ones who already have it. Many of you, remember, are already doing it. So we know that it's good already. We have no fear that fully automating it will make it worse, because we already know there are people right-clicking at send market, right-clicking send delta. All of that's already happening. And the results are still phenomenal. So all we feel like, Brad, is that we kind of tap more into the real natural supply and demand from that point of view. But the exciting part is, I think once the word really gets out what's about to happen, you're just going to see really a floodgate. And you can then start imagining, Brad, that once we integrate all of this stuff, and we're doing a lot of cool things with this, like for example, making our stops such that they're not visible to the counterparty. In other words, we're not going to disclose all of our orders to IB. Since we have server technology, we can keep some of that stuff internally and submit orders when we see the price without having those orders be, it's like, imagine a boxer sitting there, all right, I'm going to give you a 1, 2, 3.
Come hit me.
You know what's coming? Nobody ever would. Nobody would ever do that. That just would not take place. So that's what you have to understand is going to be the advantage of us trading in this particular way. Now, one of the reasons, Brad, that I'm actually on here is you can really, though, start imagining a situation where you allow your price alert swing trades also to become kind of AI executed just the way any AI signal would be. So then what will happen? You will only be limited by one thing and one thing only, capital. All the risk is embedded. All the entries you can do, either you are your own AI, but you're not artificial, you're just your own intuition. But we do this all the time. Brad and I are surfing around. In fact, here, let's escape from this place and jump right back into this place and talk a little bit about what we see. So this is today's data. New channel bar, my channel bar. Today's trades. Can actually minimize this. So you really kind of get a chance to see, you know, what went on and notice again. Something that we've talked about. Remember this, when we do these webinars, Brad, remember we talk about Sean's ebook on
Buying the dip.
Buying the dip. Ladies and gentlemen, there's not a question of if, when the market has a turn, and the turn will be happening. It will look something like this, but it'll just continue to here. And it happens, and you need to be prepared for it. One of the ways you get prepared for it is through this. Right now, not all of these work, but you hedge them. I mean, this is your hedge. You know that once the odds start really turning around mathematically, RAI, Holly, will just be much more short. Doesn't mean that long opportunities won't exist, just like here. In a relatively still bull market, you get short opportunities that sort of come up. How they play out, we don't know, but we don't care because, why, Brad? Because we got risk management, don't we?
We do. Click on that Mesa trade, the 5-day bounce, 7%er.
I wonder why Brad would want me to do that.
No, I'm just curious. I hadn't seen that one because I really wasn't looking at the Holy Grail channel much today. But, you know, it's interesting because when something appears to be negative, red, and a loser, you know, there's really some phenomenal opportunities that are present there. And again, it's what you said, it's risk management. It's making sure that those trades that aren't going in your direction aren't killing you. You're treating them very manageably, and you're letting those other guys that are great opportunities run. And while, you know, this is right here an intraday kind of execution, certainly something that you could hold, you know, your position or part of your position on something like this trade right here.
Well, Brad, you and I have discussed almost ad nauseum the fact that one of the things we discuss is every single trade that has been initiated, created, conceived, or thought of, even the power hour trades that are kind of seem short-term oriented, all pass the sniff test of being a potential longer-term or minimum swing turn type of trade. We always said that, so that was one of the questions when we first started the AI is, well, what kind of hunting are we going to do? And the thing that we wanted to say is that, well, you know, we want to completely avoid the situation where people are like, well, that, you know, I'm long-term, that would never, I would just never, you know. And people have that perspective, especially when it comes to day trading. So we wanted to answer those questions, and you can see here in that Mesa trade, you don't have to be a genius to see a full engulfing green, what is it, outside bar? Yeah, I mean, this is a big turnaround momentum buy bar, and it looks good. And certainly, let me see if I can zoom out for a second here. I think, is this an IPO, Brad? It must be, right? Because that's why all of our stuff is bunched up.
I'm going to say hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, so this is also the swing exit as well, I guess, right? I think so. Lots of stuff in that corner, Brad. Let me expand it, just see what it would look like. Yeah, so here, sometimes when we squinch stuff up, there's nothing you can do. But here's what today, by the way, looked like from an intraday. What's an intraday trade look like, right, Brad? It's kind of, you always, when you dive into the data, it's always kind of cool. So this is, from the point of view of software, the intraday setup is such that the stop today would also be breaking the longer term. There is no time to be in this long term unless you're positive, right, Brad? There's no other way.
It's telling you that it's breaking some longer term support right here, and it just doesn't have an updated calculation, so beware is really kind of the message. And those are really nice to be able to buy something that's building a base in a scenario like this. Tomorrow it'll have a new calculated stop right there. Swing stop.
I just love what we do here. It's that stuff that Dr. Brett's going to talk about, but we mention all the time, the notion of reinforced positive behavior through visual reaffirmation. Here's your line. So what's interesting about this, and this is again an IPO or a relative new issue, is that the software is saying the only way for me to stay in this, by the way, and it would be in it today in the swing perspective, because look how well it did, right, is for you to be positive. There's no, because again, the trend here was so big on the downside that it's like, I am not gonna. And Brad, again, I just love that.
Well, in the risk management, you can see how close that stop was. It wasn't something crazy, it was just a nice, tight, realistic stop based on that stock's activity.
Yeah.
And it held true. But the annotation that we do, the smart exits and the profit targets and such, all of that's really good, even for those stocks that aren't profitable, where you're looking at it approaching the stop and giving you that visual reference as to where you should not even be in the stock anymore.
Right. But Brad, let's get real. The software is going to do a lot of this stuff for you. And all I'm actually saying is that the reason the Moses-type biblical floodgates are going to be opening is that you will have everybody who has some capital will be able to try these trades out. But here's the beautiful part, Brad. Not only in just a pure day trading point of view, because imagine you're, somebody with a little bit more capital. Maybe we have $1 million to work with instead of 100,000, or you can say maybe 100,000, depending on how much you're putting in, instead of 50,000, whatever that amount is. But certainly you might be able to be looking at a Mesa trade, right, and say, well, I'm gonna assign a swing on that one. You know what I mean? Especially if you're in a risk-on scenario, the software will be able to, not instantly, but you will be able to soon interact with it that way.
Well, that's what we call, gray box trading. This can be black box, where everything's fully automated, your exits, or you could get in there and intervene, not only deciding what strategies you wanted to trade, but like Dan said, what type of entry do you want to be? How aggressive do you want to be? What type of dollar commitment or share commitment do you want to assign to each type of trade? So you can get very creative in that regard.
But on the swing side, right, Brad, this is sort of becomes almost like your portfolio manager in a box, because it is your research analyst. It's applying risk. It's applying all this stuff. And your handicap is simply access to capital, which is a little bit more of a pure type of a handicap versus, the Steve Cohen who took somebody out to dinner, to lunch, or, the ball game type of risk management. So it brings to surface lots of good things, and again, it highlights things like this that you just might not be seeing, because the profiles of these stocks are such that, unfortunately, since most people are so oriented to this kind of profile, Brad, the 24 million volume, the FANG type of stock movement. People have been so taught that this is the proper thing that they unfortunately ignore situations like Mesa.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think for people that are looking to trade other things other than these big name stocks, you really do have to have a mining tool like Trade Ideas that's going to hunt out these different opportunities that are moving.
And the thing is, people really, I think, Brad, are confused about what makes a decision. You know, that's the part that is ultimately very chaotic, because it's that synthesis of enough people read some story here, enough people hear about something there. Some people may, again, just see it on Trade Ideas, etc. But the fusion of all of those things, that's what makes, you know, something happen. We cannot necessarily sit back and logically explain all of it, or why is something so, like what's that that pot stock, TRLY, was it? I think someone knows what it is in there, right? What's the weed stock, the one crazy? It was a big one. TLRY, maybe?
TLRY.
That's it. Okay, look. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so look at this situation. You got, 300 here, and you got 104 there. And we've seen this, by the way, many, many times at different price levels. The point that we're making here is, what makes this exciting in the stock market is there's actual liquidity and lots of movement. This is what you want, because movement is interest, either direction. Interest is important because that means that something is happening here that could be relevant to this thing's success and or failure.
Hey, why don't you jiggle your little green price alert right there to reactivate it so that you can be alerted the next time it pops up?
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all you need.
There we go. I just moved it, and now I got it set for whatever price that is. Look at it. There it is.
So Dan, Greg's got a great question here. He wants to know what the seizure window is that we call Quantalytics. It's after hours, so it's pretty calm, but I imagine in the morning the thing will do some funny stuff to your brain.
Right, who's asking for this question? Who's asking?
Gregory Harris.
Okay, Gregory. So let me right click and say save and share to the cloud, and then say save and share, copy. And I'm going to paste this window into the chat. Okay. So what this window is an example of one of the ways that we like to showcase how data can be viewed. You know, when we talk about stocks, there's been a long term colloquialism called tape reading. I mean, some of you guys are so young and be like, what, tape reading? And what are you talking about? TV? Indian calls? Tape reading. What does that mean? Well, the stock market used to have a ticker tape, and it used to scroll at the bottom, and people would see stocks coming through it, and they would say that depending on the pace and which names, you could have a feel for the tape. So later on, as Brad and I got introduced into the stock market and were more involved into the direct access side of the game, we would look at things like the time and sales window, and for that matter, the level 2 window when it was relevant. Because what you could see is kind of the elements of supply and demand take shape. So what we do in this window, the Quantalytics window, is we take a window, a multi-strategy window, and we put inside of it a various high and low alert windows. So the idea here is what makes this window kind of cool is that it just took a lot of work to set this one up. That's the thing. Like like a little chiseling, right, Brad? You have to create like 6 strategies on the long side and 6 strategies on the short side, and each strategy is slightly different. And what's kind of cool about it is that we color coded it. So the darker the green, the longer the time frame of the high, the lighter the green, the shorter the time frame or intraday. And so the idea here is this: as you watch this window, you can kind of get a little feel of what's happening, because the window is very real time. These are the 5-minute highs, the 5-minute lows, and so, or however it's happening. So this is just an example. Like here, you can just see after hours, here's some daily highs happening. Here's some, lows. So this little piece of time is more positive. But hey, look at some lows coming in. So that gives you a feel. And that's one of the ways that we like to create with our own data. Here's an example of, it's kind of funny because the development looked at when we created this, and Brad, isn't it kind of cool? We took all the columns, it's just the quality column, which tells you what kind of a high it is. And for intraday, by the way, Brad, shouldn't it tell you how many minutes?
Well, there is stuff there. I think it's in the description, but.
That's right. You're right. But the quality, again, just it's a utilization and creativity, but purely non-software developmental, because we kind of took.
It's funny, Dan, as you pulled that up, it got me thinking, and that's really, this is what started the idea of the compare count window.
Totally.
So right. Little things like this led to some other stuff.
Absolutely, but you guys should take a look and enjoy it. It's like a piece of good art because it's still relevant. I don't use it as much, but I pulled it up recently because you know what it is? It's like a 64 Corvette. You don't take it out a lot, but on a beautiful day on the coast, just take it out and go, oh yeah, and I remember why I liked it. Now I remember why I like this window. So that's the Quanalytics window. And that's sort of the thing that we added here, again, that I've been sharing with everyone. So let me just go real quick. We talked about all of this. Automation, that's what everyone should be concerned about. Some ridiculous trades here. I'm sure you guys that saw it, that was another one, INCY. It's not just about the penny stocks too. This one, in terms of results, Brad, on 2.0, you had a 764, in all directions. Even a nice small one too. And this one was great because kind of went up right away. So as soon as you got into it, all these are 5 minutes. So you're talking about 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes here, you've got reward, there. So just a beautiful trade. And again, remember, this is what's going to be automated. This is what's happening. I'm going to run back right into the presentation so that we can kind of tidy up. Let me see where we are here. Let me go back to Barry. One of the things that Barry has been asking for is about to happen. And Brad, I was going to complain, because you know how I like to complain.
I know how you like to complain, but what is it? I can't recall.
Well, I was going to complain that we didn't even tease the crew with a pickage. That's what my daughter says, how she says pickage. It's so cute, I love it. We were going to give you guys a little tease, something that would make Barry's eyes water. We have it. Brad, what do we have?
You're talking about the multi-AI interface? Being able to look at all the different AI trades at the same time?
Look, Barry's crying now. Why do you, Brad, why do you got to say stuff?
Don't cry, Barry.
Barry?
Actually, he's jumping.
And crying, which could be bad because you slip up and fall and
move away from the keyboard, Barry.
Barry, move away from the keyboard. That's right. So the technology to have you view all of the trades, which is one of the preparatory steps for full automation, is there. We've kind of been up to our tush in development, so Brad did not even get a chance to sneak a picture. Usually we would have something for you. But it's very possible. I mean, Brad, it's probably going to be released pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm thinking it'll be out next week. So
yeah, so out next week, all AI channel, and what we'll do is, Brad, we're probably gonna create a fourth AI channel that says, well, we'll create an icon for it, but it's all of them basically.
Right? Yeah, and we've got some great ideas with strategies, time durations, looking at some longer term optimizations, just some really good stuff.
Right, so lots of that good stuff coming, and since what I love here is that since you guys are already, you're already here, you already paid for the software, you are riding the tailwind, so it's beautiful. Remember, guys, Barry, our friend here who's helping with answers, is also doing our trading room where we contribute to media. It's free, best practices, a really good community with very good traders who use our technology. It's a great way to window shop, start, and I recommend it highly. And very soon, Barry will have his dream come true. While, again, to reiterate, we are sold out in terms of public attendance. So I have requested extra bodyguards for the event because it is all about me, as Scott mentioned. But the live stream is there. Please register for that. And we are super pumped to do this. Some of the better speakers that we believe can contribute to really giving you something to think about to improve your game long term. And remember also, it's already in the software. Brad.
I mean, this is where the entertainment really is, not
I don't even know. Brad, I'm speechless. I don't even know how Scott published the last podcast.
I thought it was very entertaining. It's a lighter side of not that this isn't light, but it's a lighter side of the guys that trade ideas, and we have a lot of fun. We try to keep it on topic, but it doesn't always stay there.
Well, it doesn't always stay there, but at the same time, we do talk about very important things that can give you some insight, like X marks the spot. Remember, U.S. Steel.
Oh yeah. Oh.
There's so many little nibbles of juice in the podcast that I really, and then the real estate. Why are all those buildings empty? I mean, Brad, it's completely nuts. Crazy people, but it's out there. People love it. Check it out. We're getting really good reviews, so I'm really excited for that. This is the book that I'm not going to click on this link every time. Sean, they get me with the download. But as I mentioned from the chart of the S&P and how quickly it fell, please be aware that you should have some ideas so it's easier for you to follow the AI because it will be going short when time is right. And we believe that will be in October, as we mentioned in the podcast. Hunt for Red October. We are a delicious lunch for artificial intelligence that can feed the family at a 4-course restaurant, possibly an all-inclusive vacation. Who knows where? I don't know. As I was saying this, I got excited myself. For the price of lunch, you can have it all, and a bag of chips. That is really the way that we do it. We make it so affordable that it's silly, cheap. And Waleed will tell you, he's the man, he knows, and he uses the product. But we are the best out there because we made it all from scratch ourselves. It's inexpensive relative to what we do because we have not used any BS, SAP, or Oracle commercial parts. So that's how that is given back to you. So what I want to do, Brad, is obviously this is our support where you can reach us, etc. But I want to finish up where we started on the AI. The way that it looks, guys, and this is for not for the people who are already on, but for the window shoppers. The way that it looks right now, there's such demand for this that the first batch that we're gonna sell at 1,000 is gonna be at 1,100, but the next one is going to be at 3,300. Okay, that's how crazy it is. Now it might stay there. I don't know. It might not. But just remember, there's lots of cars on the highway, and 3,300 is not an expensive car.
Seems like you could just avoid all that by signing up now, huh?
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. Totally. So again, this is where you reach us. By the way, if you're into some crazy stuff, follow me on Twitter at Trade Ideas One, not for the faint of heart. And our normal corporate, very nice business account is at Trade Ideas. And please like us on Facebook. And if you have any information, please shoot us an email at info@trade-ideas.com. Scott, my friend, did I miss anything?
No, that sounds great. We will have a recording of this up later on tonight or tomorrow. So thank you all.
Thanks, everybody. Take care. Thank you, Brad.
Later on. Bye, guys.